Hello, movie fans and TV fans. Welcome to another episode of Logan's Movie Reviews. And today we are talking about Rich Man, Poor Man, Book 2, the series finale of this beautiful miniseries that spawned two books. And what an episode it was. And I'm joined once again by One Silva. How you doing, man?
Hey, good evening, Logan. Good evening to the fans out there as we try to endure this nationwide lockdown of this damn coronavirus. And both Logan and I are from New York City, the epicenter of this crisis. Unreal. It's like we're living in a modern day movie. Well, speaking of
Dude,
movies,
this is
but
that
anyway,
Will Smith movie.
yes, this is I Am Legend, right? And we are
Here we
podcasted during the I Am Legend days. But Rich Man, Poor Man, Book 1, Book 2. By the way, Book 2 was not a book. Rich Man, Poor Man was a book by Irwin Shaw. And that was what the first Rich Man, Poor Man was based on. And it wasn't, when it came on, it was just Rich Man, Poor Man. This became Book 2 because Rich Man, Poor Man was such a massive success that they went ahead and did their own, ABC went ahead and did their own sequel without Irwin Shaw's blessing. Now, Irwin Shaw would do a sequel that was god-awful called Beggar Man Thief that was based on the adopted sons of Peter Strauss's Rudy Jordache, Wesley and Billy. And that would be air on, and then there would be a miniseries based off that book. Both the book and the miniseries. Yeah, it was garbage. Pure, unadulterated garbage. But anyway, I digress. This miniseries was just as good as the original miniseries. These are two of the greatest miniseries in the history of television. Rich Man, Poor Man was the beginning of an epic 6 to 7 year run on network television of one great miniseries after another. You had Rich Man, Poor Man 1 and 2. You had Roots. You had Shogun. You had a very, very excellent, underrated miniseries called Celebrity. And, of course, you had North and South. Just a bunch of great miniseries. This was doing a golden age of television. And you are right, Logan. Peter Strauss was sensational in both miniseries. Nick Nolte was sensational in the first Rich Man, Poor Man. Edward Asner, Mr. Lou Grant, was sensational in as their father. What's the cute young lady's name that was married to Tom and slept with Rudy later on after Tom died? Oh, what the hell's that? Kay Lenz. Kay Lenz was tremendous, and she would go on to be nominated for an Emmy in this series, the first one. And years later, Logan, she would play an AIDS patient who dies on a great TV series called Midnight Caller, which starred the great Gary Cole of the Brady Bunch fame. He played Mike Brady in the movies, the Brady Bunch movies. She played his ex-girlfriend who died of full-blown AIDS, and that episode was so great she won an Emmy for that episode. Yeah, that's definitely, if I can ever find this goddamn show, because I love Midnight Caller, that's definitely a show worth talking about on this greatest episodes of television history show. Susan Sullivan, who played Rudy's girlfriend in Book 2, the lawyer
Right.
whose daughter fucking falls in love with Wes.
Right.
Susan Sullivan, that's her name. She was a huge soap opera actress on Another World before she did this show. You had one star after another, and this show helped launch the careers of Kay Lenz, Nick Nolte, and Peter Strauss. Nick Nolte being one of the top 20 actors of the last 40 years. This show propelled him to stardom.
Yeah, he's the biggest star to come out of this.
Yeah,
except
yeah, I think him and Edward Asner are on the same level. Edward Asner was huge. He's a Hall of Fame television
he was
star.
Already, a star.
So he was already a star. You're right. He was the biggest star whose career was propelled by Rich Man, Poor Man. You're right, without a doubt. Because Edward Astor was already a star. William Smith, I hated fucking Falconetti in 1 and 2. He is the perfect bad guy. I mean, this motherfucker, when he scared the shit out of me when I was a little boy, and it brought back memories when the cop who was in charge of security tried to smack him again, and he grabbed his hand, and he was like, I see you had these quarters in your hand. That shit's not working this time, big. I was like, pissed me off when I was a kid, and you could tell. I forgot the actress's name that played that cocktail waitress. Could tell that little girl had a fat ass. She looked like she had an ass from here to across the street. And I'm like, look at him getting that ass, and he beats the shit out that girl.
Yeah.
He beat the shit out of her. I was like, this motherfucker here. Oh my God, I hated this bastard. Oh,
he was
man.
The worst. But at the same time, he had a charisma.
In the first Rich Man, Poor Man, he used to bully Tom, Nick Nolte's character, and used to kick his ass. Then there was an episode where finally Tom kicked his ass, and Edward Astor was like, "Oh shit, you kicked his ass," and then he beat his ass again after Falconetti had slept with Rudy's wife, and he's like, "What you doing?" And he kicked his ass, and out of revenge of getting his ass kicked and getting his eyes destroyed, he killed Tom, and that's where this series
leads Tom to his death, right? I mean, is it him that kills him? Yeah, he does.
He kills Tom, and this episode, this series, Rich Man, Poor Man, Book 2, is revenge on Rudy getting revenge for his brother's death, Falconetti for going to jail, trying to get his revenge on Tom, and the development and the lives of two young men that Rudy winds up adopting. And you're right, you text me a few weeks ago. He loved these boys like they were his own kids. He was a good father. They just wouldn't listen to his ass, man. He had all the right advice, but they swore they knew better than him. I mean, come on, man. Oh,
they were already ruined by their own fathers. They didn't have that's the problem.
But I give these boys credit though. At the end, they both realized that and too late, because you'll know when the series ended that it was too late. I mean, both boys survived, and both young men though at the end come to the realization that Rudy was the best thing that ever happened in their respective lives.
Yeah, and they start emulating him instead of their own fathers. They start becoming more level-headed.
No, I think Wes is a lot like Nick Nolte, his father, right? And Billy's nothing like his. Oh, by the way, Bill Bixby was a big star before the show started too, and he was sensational as Billy's father in the first one, whose woman leaves him for Rudy.
Yeah. And then she proceeds to become a wastoid when she's living with him. It's weird.
Yes.
That was a weird thing. Like, she was always together, but then, when she was single, she had her shit together. But then she'd go and marry him, and she just went downhill, man. She became a total drunk, just like her husband.
And by the way, she won an Emmy. I forgot the name of the actress, but that actress won an Emmy for her role in the first Rich Man, Poor Man.
All this stuff, like these great first part, and then this book 2 now really built around the feud between Falconetti and the General Jordache family. The season finale of season 1, a total shocker when Nick Nolte's character gets murdered.
I was 8 years old. I was watching this with my parents, and my father, my father and mother had never heard of Nick Nolte before this, and never heard of Peter Strauss. My parents fell in love with Nick Nolte during the show. My mother to this day has a huge thing for Nick Nolte, and it started with Rich Man, Poor Man. And my father, who passed away 20 years ago, loved Nick Nolte. He made sure to watch everything Nick Nolte after this. He watched everything, Extreme Prejudice, you name it. And Nick Nolte, one great
Cape Fear,
Affliction, which in my opinion is the best movie Nick Nolte ever did, and we covered that on this podcast. Nick Nolte's had a sensational career. I mean, drug abuse and alcoholism aside, he's one of the 20 best actors of the last 40 years. And when he throws himself into a role, it's like he becomes his role. And you watch this, and you think Nick Nolte is Tom Jordache.
Oh, he is. I think that's who he very much is.
Yes. I mean, wow. And now Peter Strauss got typecast. Nick Nolte didn't. Probably because Nick Nolte refused to do the second one, or they killed him off and he became a Hollywood star. Peter Strauss never became a Hollywood star. He became a huge television movie star, and to this day he still works. At 70-something years old, but he never got past being a TV star. Still had a tremendous career, but I think he was typecast as that senator / businessman type role, while Nick Nolte usually plays that rugged, like longshoreman, like he was in Rich Man, Poor Man.
Right. Yeah, Nick Nolte also could play the buttoned-up dude, though, we saw in Cape Fear. Very much a different kind of character. Right. So he had a range.
You never see Peter Strauss play somebody like Tom Jordache. He's always playing a Rudy Jordache-like character. Because he looks, and by the way, I forgot the actor's name. The guy from Godfather 2, the senator, plays
the senator.
He's great. I love this guy, man. He's great. And the trial, the congressional hearings, harkens back to him back in the Godfather 2 when he gets us. Let me tell you something. I know the Corleone family and the Italian people are a great people.
After he gets rescued from a dead hooker, he's become their greatest fan.
When they killed the hooker while he was knocked out asleep.
Yeah, and then he's like, "We'll clean it up for you."
Yeah, I forgot that actor's name, but he was great. I mean, what a great series. And William Smith, what a bastard. Man, he became typecast, Logan, because he always played a bad guy after this. Always a bad guy, never a good guy.
Who?
William Smith, Falconetti.
Oh, well, he'll never play a good guy, but I think he probably could have played an anti-hero because he had charisma. He could have been somebody. Yeah, you're right. He could have been an anti-hero good guy.
Yeah. Which Nick Nolte usually plays. As a matter of fact, in this Rich Man Poor Man Book 1, Nick Nolte's the anti-hero, while Rudy in both Book 1 and Book 2 is your typical hero. I mean, good guy. I mean, nothing corrupt about when it comes to being a senator. Even though he's on trial, he's trying to bring down corruption in the White House, and that bastard that sets him up, he reminds me of Donald Trump.
Yeah. I mean, he's much more powerful than Donald Trump ever was. People, especially middle class to upper class white people, always deny that the government is corrupt. Oh, no, the government's for us. They'll do whatever they can. Well, how come shows like this, movies, always show how corrupt the government is, how you have these multi-billionaires who run the government, not the president, not the Senate. People are in denial, but why is it that television and movies always portray this? Because that's the truth. But people say, oh, no, there's no boogeyman. Right.
Come on. These guys had what you call that? What you call that organization that they say runs everything?
Illuminati.
Yeah, this guy has Illuminati written all over him.
Oh, yeah. There's so much subtext in this. Now, let's talk about the background part that comes out of Book 1. We have these two sons. One is a wayward son, played by Nick Nolte, and the other is a pretty straight and narrow, studious, more intellectual type, and that's played by Peter Strauss. And their father is he an Israeli or a German or something?
German. He's a German immigrant. I forgot his first name. The patriarch of the Jordache family, who owns a bakery, and he has these two sons, and it's perfect. You call it Rich Man, Poor Man. Peter Strauss, Rudy, is the rich man. I mean, they're not a rich family, but he's the rich man because he seeks to be rich. He's pre-law. He becomes a lawyer. Later on, becomes senator. His goal is to be as successful as possible the right way.
Right.
Jordache, longshoreman, fisherman, boxer, the poor man who tries to do everything he can, but is not as smart as his brother, and they're opposites. And there's a lot of turmoil between the two brothers throughout Rich Man, Poor Man Book 1. And the chemistry between Nick Nolte and Peter Strauss is sensational. They play this strife between two brothers who are years apart, who are as apart as two brothers could be, yet you could see there's love between them. And I wish there would have been more vehicles where these two actors would have been in. This is the only time you see these two actors together. They were made to play apart each other. It was just great, and it was perfect casting because these two were in their late 20s to early 30s when they were on the show.
Yeah, because he would later go on to play like a 45-year-old in the next one. So
he was only 30 years old.
Yeah, great. He really pulled it off. Now, when I noticed that they were both kind of bonded by the fact that their father was not cool to either of them. I mean, he was much harder on Nick Nolte for good reason. Nick Nolte got into more trouble. But it just showed how two people can react different ways to a harsh father. One becomes like a boxer ruffian, and one just overachieves. But also, they both have an anger problem. You notice that? And they got that from their father, and they always were cursed by that.
Father. Yeah, they got that from their father, and I think they both were trying to win their father's approval, but they never could. They never could. Their father, he was a tough German bastard.
So while Peter Strauss wanted to become like a perfectionist, and that was his way of dealing with it, Nick Nolte wanted to just give up on life. He just didn't give a fuck anymore. He just wanted to get on a boat and just drink and just party and not even think about tomorrow. So until
he met the love of his life that turned his life around.
Right. Well, she straightened him out by giving him the love that he never got from either his mother or his father.
Right.
And his father, after Peter Strauss' character, Jordache,
Rudy.
His Rudy Jordache, he had his first business venture was the ski company. He was going to rent skis, and his dad had the seed money to give him. But because Nick Nolte's character gets in trouble, ends up, beating up and getting put in jail. He gets put in jail for beating up Falconetti, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so instead of financing this new business that Jordache says his first venture, he has to give that money to bail out his wayward son, and he gets so fucked up by it that he ends up committing suicide by walking into a river. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. That's Axel Jordache, played by and he's still alive, Edward Asner. And shout out to Edward Asner, who throughout his entire lifetime has been a tremendous liberal Democrat, former president of the Screen Actors Guild, and very anti-Trump. Even at 80-something years old, he fights the good fight.
And he's always been political, and he didn't give a shit. And people still love him, and they don't, take anything away from what he does. So good for him. So then we have this ridiculous thing that it's the last final kind of cruelty that his father inflicts on his son. He commits suicide. And, Nick Nolte's carrying that weight with him his whole life because he was the final straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
This guy was just depressed and not happy, grouchy, just never achieved the success that he wanted and always felt like he was struggling with his bakery. And he pushed his sons away from him, and they never had the love that they needed from from them. So this is the situation we go in, and then because he's such a fuck up, Nick Nolte's character Tom, he ends up in jail, and with Falconetti, this big tough. He looked like he was, over 6 feet.
Oh look,
strong
you
as
saw
shit.
when he took his shirt off. That man he looked like he was juiced back then.
Yeah, he looked like superstar Billy Graham in terms of body.
Yes, he does.
And he had just a great facial expressions, man. Just the way he would, and he was an Italian.
I hated his fucking. Like whenever he became a chicken shit heel.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Oh my God. He's such an asshole. Oh,
he's the best beggar offer since Ric Flair, man. I mean, he and Ric Flair.
He's just.
They both beg off.
Like remember when the security cop in book 2, when he first meets him, when he first works at the hotel, and he smacks him around and kicks his ass. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then when the billionaire that's behind, I forgot his name, but that bastard, when he goes to his hotel room and they talk, and he's like, I didn't mean to kill that guy with self-defense. He's like, man, shut up. I know you killed the guy, man. Yeah. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here because we both have a common enemy. You see him, he's like cowardly. Like he becomes cowardly. I hated that motherfucker. Oh my
man,
God.
But I thought the hottest woman in this show was the big guy's wife. The Dietrich chick. She was
she's a beautiful woman. And you know what?
Man.
I think she was 50-something years old in real life. She looked phenomenal for her age. Phenomenal. She was. And he's banging these chicks. He's cheating on this girl, on his trophy wife. It is. He deserved everything he got. I'm glad that he gets his comeuppance at the end, even though in real life, he won't go to jail.
Oh yeah, this is fantasy movie, but still, it's not all happy ending here. We'll talk about that.
Right. Yeah.
But so they're just now when Falconetti starts bullying him, and he finally fights back, and he lures him into a trap using the drunken wife of Peter Strauss.
Right.
She's now. I wish we could get that actress. We gotta remember her name, and I'm gonna try to look her up because
she won an Emmy for this role.
Yeah, it's hold on here. It's
Kay Lynn plays Nick Nolte's wife, and it's funny, right? The two brothers are totally different, right? Well, one is wayward, the other is successful. The successful one marries an alcoholic, and the wayward one gets the girl next door.
Right. So Susan Blakely.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Susan
and
Blakely.
She won an Emmy for her role portraying. And it's funny, when she had a drunk boyfriend, that was Bill Bixby, who played the greatest, saddest, most pathetic drunk you'll ever see. He's crying and laughing at the same time, man. He was such a great actor, and we know from The Incredible Hulk. But
he also directed several episodes of Book 2.
Yes, he did, and he was also what's the woman who plays Maggie? She was in the Hulk, the first Hulk with him, the episode 1. She's the girl that dies in the lab. She's his lab partner.
You're talking about Susan Sullivan. She's his wife, I think, in the pilot episode.
Yeah, well, no, his wife died, and then he's trying to figure out why he couldn't save his wife. Remember, he couldn't lift the car and shit. And she's the technician that is the love interest. Right. But they never actually fuck. But anyway, this chick, I remember her doing Anacin or some kind of commercial. She used to do Tylenol, I think, because she looked like a doctor, and she could play a lawyer.
Yeah, she played, and she was not only Tom's love interest in book 2, she was also his lawyer during the Senate hearings.
Right. So Falconetti, using this drunk, Susan Blakely, Judy Prescott, the wife, the then-time wife of Jordache. She's such a wastoid. She gets involved with another lowlife, and that lures him trying to save her. He's trying to save Rudy's wife.
His brother's wife.
And so it's kind of like Rudy's fault on some level.
Well, Rudy always felt, as you can see in book 2, he was haunted by this throughout the entire book 2 because he always felt responsible for his brother's death.
Yeah. And then there was like general feeling that actually the real person that did it was Susan Blakely's character, Judy Prescott, and she was always. Now, I never remember exactly what happened to her, like in book 1, but she doesn't appear in book 2 at all.
She appears at the beginning of book 2. She appears because she was nominated for an Emmy. She didn't win this time for book 2. She's in the first 2 episodes. Because remember when he goes to some type of function and he runs into her, and they have a dance and a date. But then she goes away, and you never see her again. And
right, she's doing good again.
And she gives her blessing for Billy to move in with him, because Billy's her son.
Okay, so then we end book 1 with Nick Nolte's character dying, and so we go into book 2, and there's 2 kids. Now Peter Strauss never had any kids with Judy Prescott, and so. But Judy Prescott was married to the Bill Bixby character, who was this lush drunk.
Billy was their son, yeah.
Right, and then Billy was their son, and he was a horrible example for that son. And you can see he kind of rubbed off on Billy, but not totally, because he wanted to be more successful than his father, for sure.
If you look at it, Rich Man, Poor Man, Book 2, the Abbott / Jordache second generation, Billy is like a more conniving version, the rich man of Peter Strauss's Tom character. And Wes is a lot like his father, the poor man.
He's a carbon copy.
Yeah, so there goes your rich man, poor man, because Wes is, he's basically, he wants to be a fisherman. He works on the docks with the union. He doesn't do he's a lot like his father, like you said, a carbon copy. While Billy is trying to be like Rudy, but more conniving. Try to become a music mogul, trying to make it big, rich man style, but not. While Tom was incorruptible, Billy would stretch it, and so there goes your rich man, poor man. Second generation.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that Billy was much more decisive than Rudy. And Rudy's fatal flaw in all these instances is that he's not decisive, and he just hesitates before he does shit, and it fucks him up.
And he's too nice of a guy.
Right. So, and he's too trusting. So, exactly. Now, so we have this.
For example, perfect example. He goes to the French police, and they arrest Falconetti, and they imprison him for 5 years. So he's going by the letter of the law. A ruthless rich man would have just had Falconetti killed right then and there. If he would have had Falconetti killed right away, he would have had all the goddamn strife he had later on with Falconetti. Just get rid of his ass. He deserves to die, but because he has this moral compass about him, he feels to do the right thing, and the right thing keeps smacking him in the head.
Yeah, and then when Falconetti shows up again and shoots through their windshield, he doesn't go.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He kill that bastard. Kill that motherfucker.
He just is like, he goes again to the police, The police are like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know where he went. We
And we
lost
don't have,
him.
and also we don't have proof that he shot you. He tried to shoot you and
Right.
your nephew.
Yeah. So he's just kind of like getting all caught up in his own political shenanigans. He owns this, I guess it's a car plant or something.
Yeah. Right.
And he makes actually equipment for the government of some sort. I think he's a contractor.
Yeah,
He makes
contract, which to this day, I mean, there's no conflict of interest. Come on, you're a U.S. senator and you have a company where you get government contracts from the United States, sort of like the vice president that they had a great movie about a few years ago with George Bush's vice president.
Yeah.
Well, what was
yeah.
his
Dick
company's
Cheney.
name? Yeah, Dick Cheney. What was the company?
Yeah.
Halliburton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, this is Halliburton 30 years before
It
Halliburton.
is. So he.
So many things in this when it comes to politics. So many things in this miniseries comes back later on in real life. It's just crazy how great the writing is.
Oh yeah, very great. So when he discovers that there's this strike occurring at his plant, he really can't figure it out, and he doesn't understand why it's happening. But then, if he's one of his lawyer friends or one of his senator friends hooks him up with this guy Charles Estep, who's just like he's like he might be able to help you with your problem, and so he says, "Oh, so."
He's right, the accountant, Charles Estep, yeah.
Right. He knows that he's the bigger outfit that's directing this strike to occur from the national office. And this is when unions, they were corrupt. And this is why, in many ways, like we don't have that many unions today because like the Republicans came in and just broke them up, calling them corrupt. And there was some corruption, but...
Well, there was the Teamsters and a lot of you. They were mob controlled. Yeah, without a doubt.
We see it with the Irishman. It's a perfect movie for that to tell you that story. So they have these strikes sometimes at the direction of other industries or competitors of your industry just to fuck you up. And he knew that this was happening and he wanted to negotiate with the guy. So the guy comes in and he says, this Estep guy, and he says, listen, I can call off that strike anytime I want. And plus, I'm going to give you $1 million. And just, all you need to do for me is call off this investigation of my background. And Rudy Jordache just goes fucking ballistic on him. He's just like, he is completely insulted by this.
He also promised him that if you get in bed with me, that I will make you a future president of the United States.
That's right. And Rudy is just like, what? He can't believe what he's hearing. And every other senator that like he talks about with this kind of tells him like, yeah, dude, this is how Washington works, man. Like get used to it. You can't fight it. If you try to fight it, you end up dead. And they kind of warn him, but it's just like, and they don't really put it in those terms. They're much more cowardly. They're just like,
hey, this is the year 1968. This is pivotal. He's Bobby Kennedy. He's Bobby Kennedy. I always felt that Rudy's character was based on Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy in 19.
Yeah.
Robert Kennedy was that incorruptible senator, incorruptible district attorney of New York, Attorney General of New York, Senator of New York. That
went after the mob.
He went after the mob. He went after Hoffa, and he went and while he was going to be the next president of the United States when he got assassinated. He was bucking the system, and the system killed him. And I always felt that Rudy Jordache was based on Robert Kennedy. It's no coincidence. Both are New York senators, huh? Both are lawyers. Both are from a middle-class family. Both had a corrupt father.
Well, actually, Rudy's father is not corrupt. He's just a dickhead. But
dickhead. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not totally parallel, but at the same time, I totally see it. I mean, for instance, he's a Republican in this. He's not a Democrat.
But he could have been. He was a Republican, not a Democrat, like a Robert Kennedy was. But he was not your typical Republican. He was trying to do good, like Robert Kennedy. They might have threw the Republican twist in there, because to be honest with you, there have been very few Republican senators in New York State. I think Al, what was that bastard's name? Al, he took over for Jacob Javits. He was the senator between Javits and Schumer. He was a Republican. He was the only Republican. He was the only Republican senator of New York since I was a kid.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Nixon was in power, he did have a Republican Congress, so it would make sense historically that he would have to be a Republican because they can't do investigations. They can only do that in the majority.
And it's fucked up how they fucked up their own party member, which they won't do today.
They're doing it now, though. It's funny because they found out that somebody sold a bunch of stock, right before the COVID outbreak.
That's insider trading. Shit.
I know, but it's actually legal. You know what I mean? It's allowed.
They did throw my man under the bus before he died, and after he died, the great Nevada congressman, John. Oh goddamn, man! Early signs of dementia. His fat ass daughter is on the
Oh yeah, John McCain.
McCain. Fucking threw him under the bus. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they abandoned him for Trump. It's funny, right like that. But anyway, so we got this this deal that he's trying to foster. He does this with every politician. He offers them. He just thinks everybody's got a price. He goes in and offers Jordache all this money, and Jordache just blows his top, kicks him out of his office, but not before Estep says, "You fuck with me, that strike will just go on and on and on and on." And that just fucking makes Jordache want to investigate Estep even further, and he just goes after him with the full force of the Senate. Now, if you ask me, this is a personal vendetta. This is not him really trying to fight corruption. He really wants to bring down this Estep guy for threatening him. And I think it's more of an anger thing than it is, him trying to just root out corruption. Or it's both. Let's put it that way. What do you think?
It's a combination of both, but I think the vendetta is more motivating than him doing the right thing. But he does want to do the right thing. That's in his nature, as you see from his entire life. He always tries to do the right thing.
It's become sort of like an obsession, like Moby Dick type obsession with him, because he keeps getting setbacks. Like when he finally gets a witness, which happens to be this Estep's old secretary, who he ended up having a 9-year affair with.
Yep.
He finds her, and Estep, to keep her from talking about or being listened to about any of his past, has her committed to a mental institution somehow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they ply her with drugs, and whatever she says, they just deem her insane. And she finally gets released to her mother's custody, and Jordache tracks down to where she is and finds her, and then makes an arrangement for her to come testify, and she's murdered instantly. She's found dead.
Yep, she's found dead. Yep.
And the cops rule it an accident or rule it natural causes. I mean, they don't even look into it as a murder.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Jordache knows it's a murder, and he's just like that. He becomes even more obsessed. Then he starts looking into, and he starts finding out some weird stuff about Estep's past. Estep turns out
about his wife's past, his wife's father's past.
Well, this is the complicated shit that it took me a while to figure out, but I think I finally got it. So you have Estep is a colonel in the army. He's a corrupt piece of shit back then too. And he makes a deal with this German Nazi who sees that the war is being lost and knows that he's going to be prosecuted for war crimes, he cons some him and his daughter con this Jew who's trying to escape Germany, to escape the Holocaust, by finding out that they take some money from him, and they pretend that or they find out that he has land and assets in the United States. So then instead of helping him get there, they fucking murder him.
They kill him and take his identity. Right.
He does it. I'm saying the daughter doesn't even know what's going on. She's very young. But then he pays off this young colonel to get him, and because this young colonel has some connection with an immigration officer in the United States, which happens to be his now consigliere, the same guy that plays this lawyer in the present, was back then the customs agent, and he waves in these two, the guy and his daughter, as Albert Dietrich. They then take over the estate of Albert Dietrich, take that money, pay $6 million to Estep, and that's where Estep gets the launch money for his huge empire, which he now is like a multi-billionaire on top of. That's where that dirty money came from. It was stolen from a Jew by a Nazi who then assumed the name, and that guy then took the rest of the estate, donated it to the monastery, and just lived there for the rest of his life in hiding. And for him, that was preferable.
Right.
That was preferable to go into being executed, which a lot of Nazis were at the end of World War II.
For war crimes, right.
Crimes against humanity by The Hague. So he ended up living to a ripe old age before Jordache finally finds him. And even then, when Jordache finds him, he's just like, what do you want from me? And they're just like, well, he's like, I'm going to turn you in. I'm going to investigate you. I'm going to put a bright light on you. And he's like, what are you going to do, man? It's just a name. There's nothing that connects me. We later find there is something that does. But in any case, so this little corrupt beginning is the beginning of Estep's family. Estep's family fortune is built on just the blood of Jews. And his wife, who was actually, while she was a Dietrich, she was even under a fake name because her real name was like some German name, this Nazi name.
Right.
But when she came to the United States, they erased her Dietrich identity because they were just like, let's give you an even new name. And then her name became what? Claire West? I forget what it was. Yeah. So she was, then I don't know how it became that she became Estep's wife, because she must have been a young girl when he brought her in. He must have just been like, I'll wait till this chick turns 16 and then I'll fuck her. I mean, it's very murky about how he becomes.
He was probably cracking her at 13, 14.
Oh, man. I guess that's a little bit implied.
Man, come on. Look how he was begging Billy's girl. And Billy's girl was like 40 years younger than him. Come on.
Oh, yeah. So this guy is like totally, he's rich as fuck. He's controlling all these senators. And meanwhile, as Jordache keeps investigating these witnesses, like he'll have one witness that has like testifies to setting up Swiss bank accounts for senators so they could be on his payroll. He just sends the money down there. And this guy's all ready to testify. And Jordache is staking his whole investigation on this one witness. And he pulls basically Mike Pantangeli, which he just goes on the stand and he's like, he recants everything.
It's so Godfather 2, especially when you got a guy playing the senator in both movies.
Yeah, and he's just as flabbergasted as the senators in Godfather. He's like, this is an affidavit that says that you did, and he's like, I just made it up. I lied.
Senator, he was in Corleone's pocket. He was in Estep's pocket.
Right. So he fucking recants everything, makes Jordache look like a total fool, and he not only does that, but he says on the stand that Jordache actually coerced him, said if
Right.
like if he did, because he got away with this embezzlement, and he threatened to expose him and send him to jail about, because this guy says, oh, I know, all those Swiss bank accounts were me embezzling money from Estep, who just chose not to press charges out of the goodness of his heart. You know, so it's like all making Estep look like this innocent party that was stolen from. This is the responsible guy for these corrupt dealings, and he had nothing to do with it. And then he says, not only that, but this Jordache is going to threatening me with prosecution if I didn't lie about Estep. So all of a sudden the tables get completely turned on Rudy, and one of the ways in which he's gotten to this new witness that he was relying upon was because Billy. We got to tell the story of Billy now.
Right.
Billy is essentially the son of Bill Bixby's.
Billy was the one who set Rudy up because they blackmailed Billy.
Yeah, let's give a brief rundown of Billy's adventures. Billy starts off coming out of the army, and he's real hot to trot. He wants to make a big splash, and he instantly goes and works at a record label, and he's treated like a piece of shit by the owner, who, by the way, the owner is played by Boss Hogg, the guy who plays Boss Hogg in The Dukes of Hazzard.
That's right, Boss Hogg, and but he gets Rudy to help him buy out that guy and own the record label, which is then bought out by Estep, and then Estep's people blackmail Billy into turning on Rudy.
They're trying to figure out ways to get leverage on Rudy, and then they find out that his foster son basically has this.
That's his stepson. Remember, he was married to the boy's brother. His stepson. Yeah.
Right. His stepson is part owner of this, and so they see it as a point of leverage. So he buys up the company. You know, it's nothing to him to buy a record company. And meanwhile, Billy's been courting and trying to hustle with this singer, and she at first totally blows him off to the point where he ends up by being rejected by her. He goes and fucks Wesley's, you know, they have a budding relationship, Wesley and this Ramona chick, and he ends up just like horning in on that and totally just like fucking her one night and throwing her away.
Getting
her pregnant. So it was just like unbelievable, this whole thing. And of course that causes a huge fight between him and the other surrogate son of this of Rudy Jordache, Wesley.
Wesley beats the shit out of Billy. Now there goes the comparison again with Rudy and Tom. Rudy and Tom get to a fist fight. Tom is going to beat the shit out of Rudy. Well, Wes and Billy get to fight. Billy's not a fighter. Billy is more with the intelligence. Wes beats the shit out of him and leaves Ramona, and basically that's a rift between the two surrogate brothers until later on when Billy comes to rescue Wes in Las Vegas.
He manages through some pretty good hustle to get this singer some airplay. He goes to an indie station, he presents her there, and she starts getting played on the radio, and he starts getting gigs. And they get into she's a real headstrong chick in that she knows he wants to fuck her, so she's like she never gives it to him until he gets her into Vegas one night. But later in her career, after she's pretty much established as a star, she throws him a fuck. But the whole time she's leading him on and breaking his heart over and over again. And but he's helping her career.
She finally winds up with Estep as his little girl toy.
Yeah, and she looks like she's prone to doing drugs. He stops her right away though, and keeps her pretty much a clean singer until she ends up back, shacking up with Estep, and then she goes. You could tell she's drinking like a fish and taking all kinds of drugs, and she doesn't look as good. She's a great actress too, because she goes from like pretty innocent singer girl to like.
She's tremendous. I mean, shout out to the people who casted these roles on both shows, because there is not a wasted character on either show, and everybody that had a significant role, including this young lady back then, knocked it out the park. She was tremendous. She went, like you said, she went from this nerdy singer to this glamorous singer who becomes an alcoholic, like overnight.
And she was, she was beautiful at first, and then toward the end she starts looking really shitty, and they did a great job with the makeup and just making her look bloated and like pale, not as and the look on her face. Now the agony too.
You got to get the comparisons. Remember, this woman is a lot like Billy's mother.
Okay, yeah.
Got it. So and the alcohol, yeah.
Yeah. So and that she's played by Cassie Yates, by the way, Annie Adams.
Just like Wes's girlfriend Ramona is a lot like his mother, played by Kay Lenz. Ramona's very innocent, and it's funny, right? Ramona sleeps with both. Billy. She never gets to sleep with Wes, but she sleeps with Billy.
Right.
What happens when Kay Lenz shows up coming back from Colorado to visit Rudy? Her and Rudy get together. This is the only time I did not like Rudy. I was pissed off. You don't fuck your dead brother's wife. Come on, man.
Oh well, I know what you mean.
Did not like that. Really pissed me the fuck off, man. That really upset. That upset.
It's a little bit like incest, so like he gets what he deserves, right?
And you're raising her son. Come on, man. Oh, you honoring your brother. Oh man, if Tom was alive, he would have killed him. Oh my God. That's just that.
Is that her son?
Just wrong.
Is that her
son?
I think it might be his first woman, whoever that is.
That's right, because he doesn't call her mom. He calls her by her first name. You're right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He calls her Kate. Yeah. So I think he had some other chick left him, Wesley. Now Wesley, he worked. His whole arc, is that he was with his dad on a boat, and with who was the black guy on the boat with them? I had seen him in a number.
Dwyer, played by Herbert Jefferson, who is an established actor who's been in many things. You go on his IMDb page, very successful. He was excellent in both Rich Man, Poor Man 1 and 2. And he's had
Herbert Jefferson Jr.
Herbert Jefferson Jr., who's had a tremendous career and has been in a lot of big-time television shows. He had steady work since the 70s.
Right, so he was on the boat with them, and he ended up trying to get his own boat. So he's constantly trying to lure Wesley back onto the boat life with him, and he's the only thing that's really keeping him in the town is Rudy on the one hand and Ramona on the other. So when Billy goes in and fucks Ramona, he just loses his mind and decides, you know what? The only thing I really have to live for right now is killing Falconetti. And he becomes singularly obsessed with finding where Falconetti went and killing him. So he ends up going to Vegas after that big fight. After
Dwyer gets killed by Falconetti.
That's right. Actually, he has the big fight. He's pretty much directionless. Then that murder occurs, right, where Falconetti kills Dwight, and that's where he snaps, and he doesn't listen. And it's so sad because when they get into a fight, Rudy is trying to figure out why they're fighting, and they never tell him, and he never gets it. He never gets to know. And I thought that was like they kept like getting to the point where he was going to find out, and he never did. And Ramona, who they're fighting over, ends up getting pregnant by Billy, and Billy wants nothing to do with it. He's just like, get an abortion, like it was a mistake. And actually, no, I'm sorry. Billy never gets told, actually, because she's about to tell him, and then he just keeps calling the whole thing a mistake. So she's just like, yeah, it was a mistake. And she tries to get an abortion, but she can't go through with it. She ends up chasing Wesley out. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I forgot. Herbert Jefferson was a Battlestar Galactica. He was one of the stars along with Lorne Greene. I forgot. Wow, yeah. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so he, where were we? We're talking about, I lost my train here.
Wes.
Oh, yeah, Wes. Okay. So Wes, he's now in Vegas. He's got two girls that want him. Maggie's daughter, who's pretty hot, I think, in this. The young.
She got a fat ass. She got a fat ass
and big tits.
And she's pretty. Yeah, she got it all. Now this is one thing. This was a huge problem I had at the end of the book 2, where Maggie is defending Rudy, all the while her daughter's out in Vegas, almost gets killed and raped by Falconetti, commits suicide, almost kills herself, gets married, and Maggie's none the wiser. Maggie don't know shit.
Maggie wants nothing. Maggie wants nothing to do with her. First of all, she's a working woman who she never had custody of her until later in life. And it wasn't until...
Right.
It wasn't... I think it was her father died or something, or I don't know what it was, or she wanted to live with her mother, and her mother really wanted nothing to do with her. And instantly, after just a few weeks of being home, she's trying to ship her off to a boarding school to get rid of her because she wants... She's cramping her style with Rudy.
She wants to ship her to a boarding school because she slept with Wes, and so she doesn't want her to become a whore, which she winds up becoming a whore in Vegas. She meets those two old men, and they fuck her. Oh my!
So she's there. She gets sent to Jordash's house for a little while, which, you send a jerk like that to a house with two young men, one of them's gonna fuck her. You know what I mean? It's like, and she basically comes on to Wes.
Good-looking young men, and she's a hot to trot chick. She's fucking somebody, if not both.
But what's interesting about the contrast between Wes and Albert, what's his name? Billy. Billy is like this real. He tries to be a player, but the women all want Wes, who's not even trying. You notice that? Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just
very similar to Tom and Rudy. Wes got that rugged good looks like Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte's prime was a ruggedly handsome guy. That's Wes. The women tend to go with that than more of the pretty boy type that Rudy and Billy are.
Yeah, and Billy. But Billy looks like a used car salesman. I mean, I think Rudy has much more game than even Billy has. Billy's got
without a doubt. Even though Billy does get the bag, did bag Wes's girl though. He did bag Wes's girl.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what these players, they're like, they can catch you in a moment, and they can bed you before you know it. You wake up next to a player like a chick. You're like, oh shit, he got me. But at the end of it, they don't feel good. They're like, always feel like it was a mistake. But with Wesley.
By the way, when Rich Man Poor Man Book 2 begins, the actor that plays a young 13-year-old Wes is played by Willie Ames of Charles in Charge and Eight Is Enough fame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's got like all these two women that want him. Diane's daughter, who's just like grabs onto him because he took her virginity, and then when he tries to dump her because she takes a bus all the way to Vegas to find Wes, and he tries to dump her, she ends up trying to slit her wrists, and so he, out of pity, fucking marries her. And he's just like, and then Ramona comes like the day after they get married.
Also, on advice from Billy, Billy's like, damn, that's never had a girl kill herself over me. That she really must love you.
Yeah. And then they all three go to the wedding chapel and they watch. I mean, why doesn't Billy advise his brother a little bit here? Like, dude, you don't want to marry this chick.
No, he's advising her to marry. He advised him to marry her. Not the right advice. He's like, oh, because he makes the comment, oh wow, a woman try to kill herself over me. She's worth marrying. But I like this scene because Billy, even though they had the fight and stuff, and Wes didn't want anything to do with Billy. When Wes gets pulverized by Falconetti, Billy comes to his aid.
Well, and they actually make up here in their first meeting since that big fight, and they shake hands. It's a good moment between the two kind of brothers here. And so there's this scene though where okay, so Falconetti, meanwhile, he's been helped along almost with a silent hand by Estep, groomed, if you were. He figured out that Falconetti had shot a bullet into the windshield of Jordache and his son, and he wanted to know more about him. So he signs his consigliere to figure out what's going on with Falconetti, and he ends up bailing him out of jail. And then after Falconetti kills Dwight, what's his name? Dwyer. Yeah. After Falconetti kills Dwyer, he helps him escape to Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
Estep basically pays his way to be hidden in Vegas as a security guard, but that never leaves his room. And he just wants him to be there on ice, not found by the police, so he can use him to kill Jordache when he's good and ready.
That plays Estep's consigliere. Wasn't he on Hill Street Blues? Wasn't he that actor was familiar.
I mean, I don't remember. I never watched Hill Street, but
that was a great show. All right, continue. Go ahead.
But he finds out that Falconetti had this long-standing feud with Jordache family because he killed Jordache's young. I guess who's older? Was he younger than, or they? Who was the older brother? I don't remember now. But
I know in real life they're practically the same age, but I don't know who was the older brother. Wow,
I think it was Rudy, just because it seemed like he was more mature, but I'm not sure.
Right.
But in any case, he learned the whole history, and he decides, okay, this Falconetti, I can use him, so put him up in Vegas and hide him there until I need him. And Falconetti just kind of like doesn't know what's going on. He thinks it's weird, but at the same time, he's not going to say no, and he seems to be taken care of. Except he does get beat up initially with that one security guard head, who's a total fucking heel in this. Like, he's another kind of heel.
I like that cop though, man. I like him, man. I like him because he's
great.
the only one. He's the only one that kind of got the upper hand on Falconetti a couple of times. And he had a lot of guts, that dude. And he didn't want to kill the senator. But the dude threw $100,000 at him.
I know. And back then, $100,000 like $1 million.
I know. So, I mean, I don't, but he didn't want to kill the senator. He was a former cop, and he was a rough bastard. But in my opinion, he was fair. I liked him. And I love how he could see right through Falconetti. He's like, I dealt with guys like you all my life.
He was like, and Falconetti would play dumb with him. He's like, I don't know. I just, like, why is that blind kid looking for you? I have no idea.
I know.
I would have loved to see Falconetti in a movie with Roddy Piper. That would have been the fucking best.
That'd have been great. That'd have been fucking great. This guy William Smith, man. Oh my god.
No, and it's so funny because he plays like the victim, like, you know, but then he uses that to lure people in, just like a pro wrestler would, you know, like no, don't hit me, and then he ends up fucking you up. He does it to Billy when Billy's like standing guard over him, and like he's like, let me have a cigarette, like please.
And he wasn't stabbing his ass. Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah. please. He fucks up all three of the Jordache guys. Like it's first he fucks up Wes. Wes, who's trying to hunt him, he ends up getting Wes's new wife and beating the shit out of her. Probably rapes her. Who the fuck knows? And then
he beats the shit out of Wes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then lures Jordache, Rudy, to Vegas by beating the shit within an inch of his life of Wes, just fucking destroying him, but not killing him, so that he'll be in the hospital. And even when Rudy gets there, Wes is like, "You shouldn't have come. Like this is a trap." And Rudy just doesn't listen when Wes is like, "Promise me you're not going to go after him." I mean, they just let it go. But in a way, at this point, could he really let it go? I mean,
no.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just saying, not even that he couldn't, like, if he should, like, maybe Falconetti's going to kill him if he doesn't kill Falconetti. It's as simple as that. Like, doesn't he realize that? Is that what he realizes? I think he does.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, and he knows the cops won't help him. And I think, like, his experience in the Senate where it's all corrupt and he is about to lose his, like, be disbarred and lose his senator, you know, like, forced to resign, basically, because he's being taken to the cleaners.
And remember what everybody tells him. Everybody tells him he's on Nixon's don't fuck with list. Like,
right.
He's done. Yep.
Enemies list. Yeah,
enemies list. Yeah.
So he's been completely by this whole like shenanigans behind his back because he's trying to realize that even his friends are paid off in the Senate and he can't get any traction on any of the investigation. He's digging into Estep's past. He's figuring out shit, and he's figuring out what we outlined before, all this stuff about his past and how he got the financing. Meanwhile, his wife, he's driving a wedge between Estep and his wife because what's revealed in the investigation is that his secretary was his longtime mistress for 9 years. And he tries to explain it away, and his wife just keeps saying, for 9 years?
Yep.
He's like, you can explain away a fuck or two, but 9 years of fucking is like not something you could be like, oh, it was a slip of my dick for 9 years, you know. Not gonna happen. So she's just doesn't want to play business as usual with Estep. Estep just wants her to be like, yeah, okay, fine, I fucked her 9 years, like just deal with it, okay. You know, I keep you in luxury. Let's go play tennis. And she just can't snap out of it. And, you know, the thing is, the worst thing to do for a woman is to yell at her for being mad, right? It's not the way you're going to get her to be
you got that right.
Cool again.
It has the exact opposite effect.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like, I'll do it anyway, but I know it's dumb and it doesn't work. So it's like, you're like, come on, you tell a girl stop being a bitch. You really think that's going to make her stop being a bitch? I don't think so. I think you're just turning on that bitch times on steroids, right?
Yes.
So he's doing that over and over again. He keeps striking out with her. Meanwhile, Falconetti comes in, and there's a great scene between Falconetti and her where she's in bed, and he's just staring at her.
Because he walks in like looking like the rapist that he is.
Yeah. And he's just staring at her like he doesn't know whether he should just attack her and beat her up, you know, or what. But Estep doesn't even get mad. He just lets him in, and they have a meeting of the minds over the fact that at some point he's going to tell him to go kill Falconetti. I mean, I'm sorry, to go kill
Rudy.
Jordache. Yeah, Rudy.
Yeah.
So he's finally, when he finally gives the order to murder Rudy, it's because Rudy has just gotten to that one piece of evidence, and it's because his wife, after being held locked down in Vegas by her husband Estep, escaped.
She sets her room on fire and escapes while everybody's investigating.
Yeah. So she goes up back to Washington, and she has a passport that shows her father picture and
right.
and the fake name of Dietrich, and I think she even has like the old name.
Yep.
That they had. So she has all the evidence that backs up the story that essentially back when he was a lieutenant, he committed fraud. And not only that, but she knows that he murdered his mistress and that he actually did set up these offshore accounts and he was bribing senators. So he gets everything because his wife turns on him.
So when Estep tells Falconetti to give the order, Falconetti, that's when he beats up Wes and Wes's wife, Maggie's daughter, and that lures Rudy out of Washington, New York, to Vegas to finally confront Falconetti in my opinion, the greatest ending of any TV series in the history of television. What a fucking ending. Go ahead.
Now, before we get to that great finale, let's just talk a little bit about Rudy's trajectory here. Now, Rudy, after divorcing his drunk wife, who
Judy
from the first episode, he gets involved with Maggie, this lawyer, and she's cool with him, but I guess he doesn't really, and they start getting into arguments a lot about the case.
While they make a good-looking couple, you don't see that animal magnetism. You don't see that sexual fire, that sexual chemistry between the two like he had with Judy, that he winds up having with Kate, which really pissed me off. But hey, you know what? They have it. Kate shows up, and all of a sudden he's looking. He's having.
He's falling in love with her.
He's Maggie's hamburger. He's looking at Kate like she's steak, right? And he falls in love with her, and she's falling in love with him, and they begin an affair.
Yeah, so she whisks him off to Aspen, and basically steals him away from Maggie.
Right.
Maggie, who sent her daughter away just so because she saw this budding relationship with Rudy, and she didn't want her daughter interfering with it, so she wanted to get rid of her, really. And she throws away her daughter, only to have Rudy throw her away and start fucking her.
Real quickly, I want to mention this. Now, while I did not like this part of the storyline, I didn't like the fact that he slept with his dead brother's wife. I understand why the writers did it. They wanted a storyline for a very good actress like Kay Lenz, and they wanted to paint Rudy as not perfect. Up to this point, he's Mr. Perfect, right? This is, a character flaw is that they throw in there. So I understand why they did it. I didn't like it. It's my least favorite part of the entire series. But I understand why they did it. I wish they would have found something else, though.
You saw it coming, though, right? I mean, you saw it coming.
Because as soon as she appears, you saw it coming. As soon as she comes back from Colorado and the way they're looking at each other, you know it's happening.
Yeah, she comes back for Dwight's funeral, and she ends up staying at Rudy's house for a while. And he just starts falling for her because she's very innocent. She's very childlike. She's total opposite of Maggie, like the two different kinds of women. And one is just like a nice, like fun, bubbly, and the other is like.
Dawn, it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Rudy was the more successful of the two brothers, but Tom got the girl that Rudy always wanted, and we didn't know this until now. Rudy always had, his first wife was this drunk, she was belligerent. Maggie was like ice water. She wasn't fire.
But at the same time, he can't decide completely which one he really wants. In the end, he's like,
he wanted to keep both of them, which you know what? We all do.
Yeah. He said that. He even said that. He's like, sometimes I think the Mormons had it right. And but it's another character flaw of his that he's indecisive. He can't make a decision. Up to the point where he's going to Vegas, he still hasn't decided, and he's stringing both women along. He's kissing one, he's fucking the other.
Yep.
So he goes to Vegas with all that up in the air, his whole career up in the air, just to go to the hospital bed of West.
No, but he's also going. He buys a gun. He's going to kill Falconetti. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to kill Falconetti. So he goes in there and he has the confrontation with the head security guard. That dude's a tough dude. And Rudy fucking barks him down by threatening all kinds of Senate action and investigations of his, kickbacks.
I love to see because he scares the shit out that security guard, man. He
does a great job. When he gets angry, man, when he's in those hearings and he's getting pissed off and like,
hey, that Jordache blood is fire, pure fire.
Yeah. And so his you can tell he's just at his wit's end. He thinks that there's no hope for him in Washington. He doesn't know, or actually no, he does know. At the very end, because when he's leaving for Vegas, because the wife came, right?
He spoke to Claire before he left town, yeah.
So while he's headed to Vegas, the singer, who's now shacked up with Estep and has basically told Billy to fuck off, and Billy's just now completely thrown out of the record label, but he's made a lot of money. You can tell he's pretty rich at this point. He has enough to even pay Rudy back the $50,000 he lent him. So this guy's made a lot of money, and it doesn't seem like he's even that wanting for cash, but he gets thrown out the label. His singer dumps him for Estep, starts fucking him, and he instantly starts treating the singer just like he treated his wife. Oh, shut up. You're just a fucking arm candy for me. Like, I don't even need to, talk to you. Like, he gives two shits about her, really. He doesn't. And just like he didn't care about his wife. But then when he realizes...
people are property to him. Now human beings, they're property. He treats them like his assets.
Yeah, he doesn't value any person. So but when he finds out she's finally got him, he orders this death. And here's the plan. So Falconetti, they go down to the basement where Falconetti is hiding. This head security guard, he's like, hey, here's the plan. After he gets $100,000, from Estep to do this plan. Right. And Estep's like, okay, you tell Falconetti to shoot Jordache right in the middle of the casino, and then what you're going to do, he says to this head security guy, is shoot Falconetti. You'll be a hero. And when they present this plan to Falconetti in the basement, you can tell Falconetti doesn't buy it one bit. He's just like,
but you know what? He fell for it though. Because the dude convinced him that it was legit.
He did, but I think he had his suspicions. Like, he's no dummy. He says, first of all, he's like, all those people, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're gonna see me, and he's like, no, they're gonna be so scared they won't even notice you. While everything's chaotic, you'll get out. But then he's like, and by the way, I'll be there right with you, watching your back. And he gives him a look like, I know you hate me. And I think he knows that dude's there to shoot him right after. And I think his plan is, you know what? I'm going to turn around and shoot you after I shoot Jordache. And I think that's his, like...
I didn't think about that. You might be right. We never know.
He has this weird look.
But we'll never know. We'll never know because the plan got all fucked up.
Oh, yeah. Well, it gets fucked up by Billy, who is so much more decisive than that, or his father figure there, because he jumps fucking Falconetti before he can even do. He's in the casino and he gets on a table and just basically does a high cross body on him and takes him down. Saves Rudy's life in that one moment. And but he does it after getting stabbed by Falconetti, after trying to hold guard with him in the basement.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But he saves Rudy's life right then and there. And you could tell when Rudy talks to him, at first, is he going to bleed out? But Billy seems all right. Billy's like, I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, you're better than all right. And then Rudy, so you could tell that Rudy's two surrogate sons will be, if there was a Rich Man, Poor Man book 3, they would have been in it because they both survive.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Wes is in a pretty bad state. They keep giving him blood transfusions, and it's not taking. Like, so he's kind of up in the air right there. But he makes his his uh, his uncle, uh, promise that he's not going to go after Falconetti, and his uncle basically lies to him, and then goes right after him.
Yeah. Yep.
So he chases him down into the parking lot. I thought this was very much like Heat when
sensational,
right?
Sensational ending. Yeah, maybe this is where Michael Mann got it from.
I thought it was very similar. I thought it was interesting.
Heat was 18 years later. This is maybe where Michael Mann got his ending from.
Yeah, so he chases him out into the lot. He has him up against the wall, and Falconetti does the perfect Ric Flair, beg off.
Cowardly heel shit. I'm like, shoot this motherfucker. And Rudy is going to shoot him, but Rudy gets, all of a sudden, here is indecisiveness. He doesn't shoot him.
He doesn't fucking do it. He turns around, walks away. I mean, you're going to let this guy live? This guy is going to kill you the second you turn around. And he steps up to do just that, but he steps on some steam pipe and creates a hissing sound, whatever, makes Rudy turn around with the gun and shoot Falconetti, drops him, but he doesn't make sure that he's dead. He's so in shock.
And Falconetti shoots him in the back before Falconetti dies.
Yeah, he's so in shock that he just drops the gun and turns around, and he can't even believe what he's done. And Falconetti's not dead, man. And he had that gun. He had like a knife in one sock, which he used to stab Billy, and he had a gun in the other.
Gun in the other one, right.
Which he used to stab. So
he shoots Rudy in the back, and they both end up dead in the streets of Vegas as the series ends. Great ending. I remember watching this when it first appeared, when it first premiered, the finale with my parents, and we was like, oh man. And I'm 9 years old at the time. I don't know anything about television other than I'm watching it. And I'm like, this is classic. This is just great. And this has lived on for me for 43 years. And when I watched it again a couple of months ago, when refreshing for this episode for this podcast, I'm like, damn, it's just as good as then. And that fucking Falconetti, man, hate that bastard. That bastard. He had that fine.
He was terrible.
He had that fine brunette with the big titties and fat ass, and he beat the shit out of her. Man, fuck
such
you, Falconetti.
Yeah, such a dick. And Peter Strauss, who one of my friends saw him in Zabar like a few months ago, so it's kind of funny. Yeah, so this motherfucker is like still around, still probably picking up chicks, but great performance here. Too bad he didn't get picked up to do more, because I thought he just had a real talent.
Oh, well, he's had a tremendous career. It just hasn't been. It's been mostly in television. I mean, he plays that same type of role. But with Nolte's the better actor, without a doubt.
I guess so, yeah. Ramona actually married Billy in real life, and I don't know if they're still together, but they became a couple after this. Let's see. I guess you're right. I mean, the Nick Nolte was just the biggest name that came out of this a star, and he wasn't before. This was like kind of his start, right?
Well, it was Peter Strauss' start also.
Right. But Nick Nolte got bigger, right? We know that. What do you think about have you checked out the book?
No. No, I know
Okay.
that there wasn't a book, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. There was no book on Rich Man Poor Man Book 2. Irwin Shaw wrote 2 books. He wrote Rich Man Poor Man, and his sequel was Beggar Man Thief, which was based on West and Billy. There was no mention of Tom and Rudy. It was West and Billy, and that was a miniseries on NBC that was horrible. Horrible. They should have just left it alone.
Yeah.
They were trying to capitalize on ABC success, and it blew up in NBC's face. Nobody watched that shit.
Damn. All right. Well, I think we wrap it up here, man.
By the way, I want to real quickly. We mentioned that we compared Rudy Jordache to Robert Kennedy. The same year Rich Man Poor Man Book 2 came out, Peter Strauss, in a made-for-TV movie, and this was a great made-for-TV movie, he played Joseph Kennedy Jr., who was Joe Kennedy Sr.'s pick to be president, but he died as a fighter pilot in World War II.
Man, the Kennedy curse, right?
That was the first of the Kennedy curse. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that was a made-for-TV movie. It was called Young Joe, the Forgotten Kennedy, and Peter Strauss looked like a Kennedy in that movie. I'm like, damn, is he related to the Kennedys?
All right, well, what do we got next time, man?
All right, there was a movie that came out a few months ago that got great reviews, and I'm surprised it wasn't nominated for any type of Oscar a buzz, but it was a very good movie. I saw it a few weeks ago. Edward Norton wrote, directed, and starred in Motherless, which is an all-star cast. William Dafoe, Edward Norton, Bruce Willis, a tremendous cast. Motherless Brooklyn, about a 1950s private eye played by Edward Norton with Tourette syndrome.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
That sounds like a doozy there. Never heard of it or saw it, so
it came out last November, Motherless Brooklyn, and highly recommended for all the listeners to watch it before we talk about it. So definitely, Motherless Brooklyn.
Comeback for Ed Norton.
I don't know about a comeback because Birdman, he was huge in that. That was just a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's remained relevant. I mean, Edward Norton's had a sensational career. If you want to talk about the last 20 years, he's one of the top 10 actors of the last 20 years. He's never back. He's never
take
back.
Some time out, right?
Yeah.
A couple years.
Yeah, a couple years. He's had some sensational movies. 25th Hour.
Fight Club. Yeah.
Primal Fear, American History X, Fight Club. He's Hannibal. He's had a lot of great. Not Red Dragon. He's had a lot of great roles.
Yeah. They should. I think they should do a Fight Club sequel.
They
should do it.
They should. But I mean, the budget would be ridiculous because all the guys that would be the sequel are all 20 million plus type actors for a movie.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's what we got next week, and let's see. What do we have any like special months coming up? Maybe we should do like a plague movie. Maybe
we'll do that. We'll do that in 2 weeks. We will do that. Matter of fact, we did do I Am Legend. So why don't you just repost it? We did I Am Legend a couple years ago.
Yeah, might as well just repost that.
Yeah.
So do you want to say? You want to say anything about this thing?
It's ridiculous. I think Governor Cuomo acted too late in doing what he did today. Mayor de Blasio was on top of this. De Blasio wanted a shelter in right away, but Cuomo blocked it.
Caused it to get out of control.
It's gotten worse. Cuomo put his foot in his mouth. Tuesday, I will not order a shelter in. Wednesday, 50% of the non-essential businesses workforce.
Yeah, how do you police that?
Thursday, 25%. And then today, 100%. Motherfucker, you tiptoe.
You.
Monday, Tuesday, when de Blasio came to you and said, I want to shut the city down. Shut it down. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it just got out of hand. New York City and New York State now leads the nation. Coronavirus infected people, and it's
really?
horrible.
Wait,
yes.
We're even more than Washington?
And just 3 weeks ago there was no report, and now it's over 4,000 and growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still a pretty small number, but I didn't realize it was more than any other state. Or is it more than any other city?
I take the subway every day to work. They were talking about they were cleaning the subways. The subway station I am had people sleeping in it every morning, and the same stains on the yellow parts that you see before you get the train, those yellow tracks. Nobody cleans shit. That's bullshit. And then in the subways, people sleeping on the cars, people on top of each other. This is the type of virus that's in the air. You can catch it just by walking and breathing. No, come on. No, you
can catch it by walking and breathing?
Do your research. Yes.
Fuck, man.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And well, you got guys that don't even have symptoms that took them, like Idris Elba and Sean Payton, the coach of the New Orleans Saints. They came down with it. They're not even coughing or anything. They have it. They just start showing symptoms. They're not showing symptoms.
Will they eventually, or will they? I think
they caught it before the symptoms will start. They'll be okay.
Because I think now it's like if you just catch it, you're done, right? You got the immunity.
That I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't. From reading into it, that you could catch it but it's in the air. It's in the air. So they have to they had to have done this right away. Japan and China, they quarantined their people, and they're on their road to recovery.
They are, but I don't believe them when they say this thing is going to only last for 4 months. I think it's going to be longer. What do you think?
I think that after all is said and done, that the pandemic will go away, but it's a while before it happens. I don't think that I'll be going back to work anytime soon.
I'm saying it's not going to. I think like they got to wait for there to be a vaccine, and I'm hearing a vaccine's like a year away.
I'm hearing 12 to 18 months when it comes to the vaccine.
Yeah, so how are they going to let people out and do the same shit again? It'll just make the cases go through the roof.
I think I have a vacation for the summer, and maybe sometime
you better cancel it.
No, I'm talking about I'm on vacation right now, forced vacation in my apartment.
Yeah. So you're in the Bronx, right?
Oh, I'm in Spanish Harlem.
Spanish Harlem. So
I work in the Bronx, but I live in Spanish Harlem. Do
you wear a mask?
I don't believe in that bullshit. The fuck out of here. I'm walking around with that. You really want to protect yourself? Do the boy in the plastic bubble, because that's the only way you protect yourself.
Yeah, put a condom on your face, motherfucker.
I see every day morning on the subway. I see people with the mask on. I was like, "Are you a surgeon? The fuck you doing?"
God, man, it's insane.
By the way, shout out to my girlfriend, to my lady. She's a nurse at Lenox Hill Hospital, and this weekend she's a nurse. She's the last 2 weekends, because of the outbreak, she's been hired to work 12-hour shifts Saturday and Sunday in a Westchester hospital in Middletown, which is near Hudson Valley. And a shout out to her and all the nurses and doctors that are combating this illness, this virus. I mean, the woman is not getting any sleep, and I can't see her right now because she's in Middletown. I'm in Harlem. But I mean, shout out to her, shout out to everybody in that profession. They're trying.
Oh man, that's a tough shit right there.
To a head, yeah. Yeah.
So what's the report from her? Are the hospitals getting overwhelmed?
She works at Lenox Hill Hospital, which is on 77th Street in Lexington, one of the busiest hospitals in Manhattan, and it's, that's the Upper East Side, real ritzy, upper class neighborhood. 2 weeks ago, when it first came out, you know how rich people are. They sneeze, they're going straight to the emergency room. Well, that has gotten worse. The emergency rooms in that hospital are packed to the rafters.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So just be careful out there. Stay in and wait it out, man. Catch up on some good movies, and we'll be talking about them. We should try to, I guess, maybe not do a movie about Contagion. People want their mind off of it, so we'll try to.
Hey, look, if you really want, we're not going to do it. We have it on the archives. Go listen to our I Am Legend podcast if you want to do that. But we won't be doing any new ones. We'll be more lighthearted, more dramatic, something to put your minds off of that.
Now, what could you recommend to people that want to have to binge watch stuff like now? They have time at home. So what's a good series to binge watch?
If you've never seen Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, watch those. Because those are top of the line, golden age of television, A+ programming.
And I recommend watching it in the order of Better Call Saul first, because it's chronological.
Bob, how do you say Bob Odenkirk?
Bob Odenkirk, yeah. He's
sensational. Just the man is sensational.
I think that show might even be better than Breaking Bad, but
it's better acting because it's more character based. While Breaking Bad was more action, was more action,
more adrenaline.
Jimmy McGill / Saul Goodman, you root for this guy, even though he's a sleazebag, but you understand why he became who he became. And I love the chemistry between him and Kim. And it's going to break my heart when she finally leaves him, because she's
not in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, she's not in Breaking Bad, so I'm assuming, and spoiler alert, you could turn this off. You don't want to be spoiled. It hasn't happened yet, but I think that next season is going to be the last season. I think either she dies or she leaves him. Either she dies or she leaves him. One or the other.
But what could also happen is that she leaves him, and then they start up his story post Breaking Bad.
But wait a minute! In Better Call Saul, they show him. They show him post Breaking Bad.
Really?
That's him. That's him post Breaking Bad, working in the restaurant.
Oh, I didn't know that was the future.
Gee, that is fake name.
Wait.
That's the future. The sequences, that's him post Breaking Bad.
How do you know that?
Yeah,
I thought that was actually a flashback. I didn't know that was a future shot.
Is when he's in the mailroom or he's doing the con work with that dude with the mustache. That's in color. The black and white scenes. Remember when he gets locked out in the basement by the dumpster? That's in post Breaking Bad. That's Eugene.
No shit. I did not catch. I was wondering what that shit was. I was like, what is this? Is this him before he became a copy center guy? Like at the law firm of his brother.
That's him after Walter White dies and Robert Forster gets him out of town.
Okay, but you could see that turning into maybe him breaking out of that finally and maybe becoming the old Jimmy McGill again. I don't know. I mean, I hope they don't just end it with the beginning of Breaking Bad. I mean, I think he's got more to tell. So
there's also talks about a possible, what's my man Giancarlo's character's name? Gus.
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito?
A possible Gus spinoff as a young Gus.
Yeah, like a prequel, Gus prequel.
Yeah, where Gus in Chile, when he starts the Los Pollos Hermanos franchise. Remember, it's murdered by the cartel, and so there's talks of that. So Vince Gilligan's got a gold mine on him, and great.
What a great writer.
And Bob Odenkirk, just sensational. Words cannot express. So you can binge watch that, binge watch Breaking Bad, binge watch The Wire.
But not Power, right? Power's done, right? Fuck Power.
You up until the episode we talked about when his daughter gets killed, but after that they jump the shark. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, but up until that, remember, because you binge watched up to that, you loved it. But after that, the shit fell off the rails. It just got ridiculous.
It got corny.
The first 4 seasons of Power, highly recommend. Watch that. Those that are forced to stay home, there's a lot of great television that if you've been too busy to watch. Godfather Harlem is sensation. Have you watched it?
No, but you keep telling me I gotta watch it.
You gotta watch Godfather. Matter of fact, you gotta watch it. It's on Hulu. Watch it. We'll be doing one of those.
I thought you said it was on Epix.
Yeah, but I think Hulu is now showing the old episodes.
Nice.
I think, but if not, Epix is showing it. Either one, either Epix on demand, maybe Hulu has it because it'll be back in September for season 2.
Okay.
For the sensational as Bumpy Johnson and Thatch as Malcolm X, just as good as Denzel Washington as Malcolm X.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
so I'm going to check that out.
There's a lot of great television out there. For those who have Netflix, Luke Cage, seasons 1 and 2 is not coming back. You haven't watched that? Watch those. Watch the Daredevil 3 seasons. Those are great superhero television programming. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there for those that are quarantined to watch. And Snowfall that we reviewed.
Oh, my God. Snowfall's great.
Sensational. So, yeah, and then after you watch those, you can listen to our podcast on those shows.
Okay, man. So we're going to keep bringing you the quality reviews here. Take care in this crazy day, this crazy world that Trump brought us. We had to elect an idiot for president, and this is what you get.
The guy who said a month ago that the coronavirus was a hoax.
Oh, my God, dude. Like, you think about if Obama was the leader of the world, because that's what America is, right? It's supposed to be.
Yeah, supposed to be.
I don't think this shit would have gotten to be this fucked up. I think he would have been on top of that shit like that.
Shut you down.
Like,
but
quick.
Then again, Michael Corleone, Trump is Fredro. There you go. Right?
And at that, we'll leave it there. Go ahead.
What a quick plug. I did a podcast the other day that's coming out today with Double G, Gary Gonzalez, Fight Game Media. We reviewed the 30th anniversary, which happened last week, March 17th, 1990, the fight of the year for 1990, Julio Cesar Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor. We did a 50-minute podcast on that fight. That'll be coming out today on Fight Game Media. I'm doing a podcast later this afternoon with our boy Sky Kid, Greg Dieter, on the 10 greatest matches in WWF/WWF/WWE history. And Sunday, Logan and I will be back doing the greatest performances of Marvin Johnson's career. I'll be podcasting like a motherfucker because I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, man. I'm sure you got a lot to say about other sports too, so I'm going to try to hook you up with some hosts.
The thing is, there's no sports going on right now. Everything's dead. There's no NBA.
Right.
Major League. My Mets aren't playing. My Sixers aren't playing. There's nothing. So I got to stick to what's out there. Classic television, classic movies, classic boxing, classic wrestling. That's what all.
We're like fucking Will Smith watching reruns of.
I can read was a CNN.
When life was normal. No, but what was he watching? Like Family Matters?
Watching Family Matters, some cartoon. I don't know, it was Tom and Jerry or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
While he was eating his bowl of cereal. Yeah.
All right, man. We'll sign off here, man. Thanks for doing this late night podcast. Stay safe. We'll talk soon.
Talk to you on Sunday, big man. Later.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Take care.